Bhakata Samuha Loya Sate Gela Nagara Braje. Gela Nagara Braje. Tathai Tathai Bajalokol Gana Gana Tahe Jajeraro. Tathai He Medala Dala Sonaranga Charanenu Pura Baje. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bole na bolo re vadana bori. Michenida bashe gelore rati Divasa sharira saje. Emana dulaba manavadeho Payaki koro bhavana keho. Emena bhajile Yashoda Suta Charame pori belaje. Udita tapana hoile asta Dinagelo beli hoi bevyasta. Tabekeno ebe alasahoy Nabajari daya raje. Jivana anitya jana hasar Tahe nana vidha vipadabar. Namashraya kori jatane tumi Takaha apana kaje. Jivera kalyana sadhana kam Jagate asiye maduranam. Avidyati mera tapana rupe Vidagagane biraje. Krishna nam sudha kori apan Jurao bhakati vinoda pran. Nama bina kichu nahi ko aro, 14 bhuvana maje. Jeev jago, Gora Chandra bole. Kota nidra jao maya, Pishachira kole. Na jao maya, Pishachira kole. Bhajibo bolia ese, Samsara bitare. Bhuliya rohile tumi avidyara bare. Tomare loite ami hoinu avatara. Ami bina bandhu ar ke ache tomara. Enechi aushadi maya nasibaro lagi. Harinama mahamantra lautu mimagi. Bhaktivedanta Prabhu Charane Poriya. Say Hari Nama Mantra Loilo Magiya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Mishpat Paramhamsa Parijakacarya Stotra Sata Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jaya Mishpat Paramhamsa Parijakacarya Stotra Sata Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 18, King Yayati regains his youth. Text 51. Evam varsha sahasrani manasaste manasukham vidadhanopi natripyat sarvabhauma kat indriye evam varsha sahasrani manasasthir manasukham vidadhano api natripyat sarvabhauma kadindriye evam varsha sahasrani manasasthir manasukham vidadhano api natripyat sarvabhauma kadindriye manasasthir manasukham Matajis. Word-to-word translation. Evam, in this way. Varsha sahasrani, for 1,000 years. Manasaste, by the mind, and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. Manasukham, temporary happiness created by the mind. Vidadhana, executing. Api, although. Na atripyat, could not be satisfied. Sarvabhauma, although he was the king of the entire world. Kat indriye, because of possessing impure senses. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Although Maharaj Yayati was the king of the entire world, and he engaged his mind and 5 senses in enjoying material possessions for 1,000 years, he was unable to be satisfied. Purport. The Kad Indriya, or unpurified senses, can be purified if one engages the senses and the mind in Krishna consciousness. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. One must be freed from all designations. When one identifies himself with the material world, his senses are impure. But when one achieves spiritual realization and identifies himself as a servant of the Lord, his senses are purified immediately. Engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord is called bhakti. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. One may enjoy the senses for many thousands of years, but unless one purifies the senses, one cannot be happy. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 18th chapter of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled King Yayati Regains His Youth. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in continuation is the final verse, where King Yayati, who was cursed to become an old man, and he had exchanged his old age for the youth of one of his sons. And with that exchange, he could enjoy the youthful sensual pleasures for 1,000 years. It's a good amount of time. But what's the final conclusion? He was unable to be satisfied. So everyone in this world are trying for different sensory pleasures, but they're unable to be satisfied. We don't have to go too far to come to this conclusion or to hear this conclusion. I know my grandfather, he's 92, something like that. He's old. And he still laments that, I wanted to get enrolled in this one college, but I could not. I could have made so much money, I said, grandfather, you're 92 now, You were an engineer back in 50, 60 years ago, considered quite respectful. You made good money, you got a big house, you got family all sorted, children sorted, grandchildren sorted. Maybe you don't need to worry about this anymore. I said, no, but I couldn't get it. Not satisfied. He was, materially speaking, he was quite successful, but not satisfied. And I was speaking to someone just a few days ago, and he got, for his VC, for his year 12, he got 99.2% results. And I said, so how do you feel? I said, I'm completely disappointed. I said, I'm completely disappointed. Why? I said, because I wanted 99.5. That was the cutoff. That was the cutoff for my university that I wanted to get enrolled in. I couldn't get it. And he just couldn't get over it. Just couldn't get over that 0.3% that he lost. He's like, I lost it. I'm a loser. So he studied so hard, for 2 years of grueling, intense studies. So after all that, unsatisfied. I was kind of feeling happy that I didn't study so much. I was unsatisfied, but at least I didn't have to work so hard to come to the same conclusion. So, yeah, it's everyone is unsatisfied in this material world. Those who are so-called successful and those who are so-called unsuccessful. Everyone is coming to the same conclusion, that just not satisfied. They did this study on the millionaires, and and in the interview, the few people were enrolled into the interview, and the qualification to be part of the interview or the research was that you need to have something like 1 million or 5 million in cold cash. You need to have at least 5 million in bank account and a 5 million worth of house or something like that, like investment property. So that's a decent amount, like someone who has that can be somewhat, we would think, can be somewhat peaceful. Then they had the interview for all these people who have made it decent in this material world. This in ISKCON, this was in, not ISKCON, but it was in the Silicon Valley. Not in ISKCON, Silicon. So it was in the Silicon Valley, all these IT professionals and entrepreneurs, and said, okay, so you seem to be doing pretty all right, so what do you think about your position? Are you satisfied? Are you happy? And everyone unanimously said, no, we are not happy. You're not satisfied. How many hours they're working? 80 hours a week. 80 hours. We start in the morning 6 o'clock, finish night, whatever, 6, 8, 9 p.m. Get a few hours of sleep, get back on again. Not satisfied. So why? Why are you not satisfied? You got everything you need. What's the problem? He said, my child goes in the school with these other kids who are also from similar families. He said, what would my child feel if he finds out that his father is worth 10 million, but then the child that he's playing with, his father is worth 20 million. So how my child feels? He'll have an inferiority complex. He said, I don't want my child to feel like that, so therefore I must keep working. He said, I'm dying, because of working so hard, but I must keep working. So this is the situation in this world. People who have a job, not satisfied. People who don't have a job are not satisfied. People who are married, not satisfied. People who are not married, not satisfied. People who have a good career, not satisfied. People who are failures, not satisfied. So everyone is feeling the lack of satisfaction. And everyone is looking always for more and better. There's two things that everyone is looking for. And in that way, everyone always feels unsatisfied. So the Bhagavad Gita gives the example of that, these senses, when they meet the sense objects, actually there is no pleasure in it. And so therefore, there cannot really be any satisfaction from that. It's just the senses meeting the sense objects. And so you would think that it would make you happy, I was listening to this lecture, and this devotee was mentioning how, so you would expect, yes, I have the senses, and yes, I have the sense objects. And so if the senses meet the sense objects, then there'll be happiness. Simple. So the senses coming, the sense object coming, yeah, and then and senses meet the sense object, and they never really meet. And so there's never really any satisfaction, there's never really any happiness. And so the person is always left hankering. I thought there was some happiness. I thought there was going to be some satisfaction. Maybe I tried differently. Maybe it was because of that person, so maybe I should try with some other person. Maybe it was because of that circumstance. Maybe I should try different circumstance. Maybe I should change the restaurant. Maybe I should change the the color of my clothing, so there's always, we're trying to adjust. And somehow hope that would work. But every time, it's coming. And they never really come together. And they never really actually satisfy the person. So Prabhupada would often give this example of just like the fish that's out of water. And one time we had a few different events. We call it the event happiness, which is one of our Western outreach, or the non-traditional outreach. And the title is Event Happiness. And in the poster, this devotee who designed this poster, and his ingenuity, he came up with this poster where this fish is lying on the couch on the beach, and he has like this drink and a radio speaker, and like all this different smoke and all these different kind of things like just laid out in front of him, and thinking that and then the fish is kind of smiling, and it's obviously it's satire, it's ironical that actually the fish is not going to be happy, It's got everything. It's got all the what you would expect as sources of pleasures and happiness. The fish cannot be happy. So we had this. We used to do this drama, and in the drama, the fish that's come out of water and is seeking some guidance from friends, and the friends are saying, "Oh yeah, you're not satisfied. Get a job, Oh, maybe you should get a better job. Oh, you're still not satisfied. Oh, maybe you should get a partner. Maybe you should get a family. You're still not satisfied. Okay, maybe you should get a good house. Maybe you should get and then it's like, yeah, I'm not satisfied. This itch, it's an itch for more. The fish is always like itching. It's like itching for more. I want something more. And it's like, oh, you're still not satisfied? Maybe you should go and do that. Maybe now you should go and do that. And the fish is always just trying whatever this friend is saying, which is the mind. But then the fish is never satisfied. Then finally, one day someone comes and they say, oh, you know what? You are a fish. You should go, just leave all of this thing here, go back to where you came from. And so the fish jumps into the water, and then fish is satisfied. Even though it doesn't have anything of the material world, it's still satisfied, because that's the natural atmosphere where the fish belonged. So that's the situation of the material world. So there's this nice verse in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, in 39th verse. This avritam jnanam etena jnanino nitya vairina kam rupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha. And it says, thus a man's pure consciousness is covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So these are the two characteristics of lust. So here King Yayati, who has gone through the entire episode of enjoyment, but still not satisfied. And so we can see here that this form of lust, which is all this person's consciousness is covered, and so therefore the two characteristics that are given is that it's never satisfied, this lust, which is never satisfied, it burns like fire. And it's always asks a person to like go do something more, get something more. This itch is never satisfied. And just like when you get itch in the winter time, you get this dry skin, and then you have this itch, and then you itch, and then you itch, and then you itch. And one time Prabhupada was giving one example, and maybe some of you already heard of it. He says, this sex life is like the itch. It says, you scratch it, and you scratch it, and you scratch it, and then you stop. And Prabhupada, in a very animated voice, he says, not because you're satisfied, because the blood comes out. Because the blood comes out. So there's no satisfaction in that. So in this purport to this verse of this 39th verse of the 3rd chapter, and Prabhupada very nicely explains, very brief purport, but very, very apt and very relevant to our verse that we're reading. So I'm just going to read it out, and then I'm going to ask people, because I know if I read a long purport, people are going to fall asleep. So maybe I'll just ask everyone to share one point from the purport that you like. Yeah, so it's a really nice purport, so pay attention. So the purport. It is said in Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithunya Agara, or the shackles of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. And this one is a nice one. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. I'll read that again. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. It's an amazing point. So before I go, anyone remember any point from the purport? Yes.
I like the metaphor about being shackled by sex life, because in the material world people like to say that, I can have whatever partner I want, I'm free, I like this freedom to do whatever I want, but actually Prabhupada says they're shackled.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Krishna, in the sex life can be spiritual. Krishna says, Krishna thinks his life is sex life is me. So if you have Krishna, any life is equally good.
Sure, that wasn't in the purport, but Acharya commentary. So, yes. This is such a powerful point, like the purports in it. I was reading the Science of Self-Realization, and some of these points here were mentioned even in there, and I was reading with one new boy from Israel, and we were reading it together, and at some point he will just black out. He would read one line and it's like, I said, what happened? This is the the strongest statement I've ever heard in my life. Every time Prabhupada would say something like that, and yes, completely bewildered. He'd be completely bewildered. So yeah, this is like that. I like this analogy of how the sense enjoyment is like putting fuel in the fire, and you're like, I'm just going to put so much fuel in the fire, this is going to completely turn off. So maybe temporarily it will just completely subside and almost disappear, but in the next minute it just comes out like a wildfire. And the example of, or this point, and this is quite an amazing point, actually, it's very deep, and that is that when we engage in sense gratification, that little sense of happiness is actually your greatest enemy. Sometimes devotees in our life, we are trying different things and nothing is working out. It's like, why can't Krishna just give me some happiness, Why can't just Krishna give me some kind of like an appreciation, some encouragement, some support by just giving some material happiness, like I'm just getting smashed left and right and center, like nothing is working out. I say, why Krishna is doing that to me? Krishna doesn't like me or what? But this is a special favor that Krishna is doing. This Krishna being the greatest friend of every living entity. He doesn't want this little happiness and that the devotee is getting caught up in that little happiness. So Krishna makes some special arrangements so we get completely fried and frustrated from these material circumstances, and we're like, okay, look, this is completely hopeless. This is not going to work out. Let me surrender to Krishna. So that's a special mercy of Krishna. So then, Prabhupada here explains in the purport that even though Yayati, who tried quite a lot for 1,000 years, this is the most successful life anyone can imagine. He has a youthful body for 1,000 years. We get youthful body for maybe, well, depends on how we did in our teenage. But, okay, relatively, if you were lucky, pretty much from 18 to 40, more or less. That's like the best. That's like the best. 40, 45. Some devotees are saying no, not even. But let's say, okay, that worked out maybe like 20 years. You're lucky. Most people not that much. Most people less than that. So here, for 1,000 years of youth, non-stop, he has the full kingdom, so he can enjoy as much as he likes. He has the wife, the partner, who is also youthful for 1,000 years, of course, which is also important. He has all the opulences, he has all the paraphernalia to enjoy however he wants. And despite all of that, he's unsatisfied. So, Prabhupada explains here in the purport that Kad Indriya, the unpurified senses, Prabhupada is referring to that. So this is unpurified senses, or what is often what Prabhupada would term as a conditioned beings, unpurified beings. Conditioned being means we are conditioned by so many circumstances of this world. We are conditioned, we are kind of shackled, we are bound, we are restricted within that, and the circumstances are often out of our control. So we try to enjoy, but either the circumstances don't support us, like our health may not support us. You have an amazing plan for outdoor adventures with your favorite people, and you're all ready to go out and it rains, and this completely ruins everything, Or that you have this best meal planned and you're looking forward to that for so long, and then finally you have this amazing sought after dessert, and then you find out that there was no sugar put in it. And it looks so amazing, but it's got no flavor to it. And it's so frustrating. So there's so many conditions, and everything has to go right for us to actually finally feel like, yes, that was good, So most of the time, these conditions don't quite meet. They meet like 80% or 60% or like 40%. And sometimes even if they meet 100%, then they last for such a short time. It's like, yeah, I have it, gone. And it's like, it's just a few minutes and then it's gone. And it's like, you don't have it anymore. And then for years, sometimes, or at least for a few months or a few weeks, people are like, yeah, that day was amazing. And then like 6 weeks ago, like 3 years ago, I did that and that was amazing. And it's like, it basically means that nothing has happened since then. It was 3 years. Nothing great has happened, and it's just, the guy is just left with remembering those amazing moments he had for a short time, telling everyone the stories about it. So, so these are the conditioned souls. So these unpurified senses, if they're purified, then one can experience real enjoyment. So how do you purify the senses? Yes. So one of the words that came to my mind was Cheto Darpana Marjana. So we're cleaning our consciousness, we're cleaning our senses from all the mud, all the conditioning that is accumulated. Burijan Prabhu says, the conditioning or the mud that is not like this thick or this thick, Like you have the mirror, and on top of the mirror is not like this mud, like this thick or even this thick. It says kilometers thick. He said, imagine trying to see yourself in the mirror, but a mud that's kilometers thick. How are you going to see that? So it's going to be very difficult. So I said, you start cleaning the mirror now. And you clean it for 1 day and 2 days and 3 days, and you spray and clean and spray and clean and spray and clean. It's like, still can't see it. I wonder even if there is a mirror, can't even see anything. So you keep trying, and nothing seems to be working. But you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. That there is actually a mirror at the end, and that mirror, when it's eventually cleaned, when it's purified, then one can actually experience the real happiness. One can enjoy the real satisfaction. So thankfully, in Krishna consciousness, we don't have to wait for 60 years of cleaning before we experience some happiness. It's not like we're just like all suffering for 60 years, before we finally, yes, this is Hare Krishna mantra. Oh yes, this is nice prasadam. Oh yeah, finally, these people are nice people. No, actually we experience this right from the first day. We experience, and that's because of not our qualification, but because of Krishna's mercy. We get to experience the happiness and the satisfaction in the life of Krishna consciousness. And it's very satisfying. This very nice verse from the Bhagavad Gita, from the 6th chapter, where it says, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. It's a very nice verse. It says, Yam labdva chaparam labham. He said, when one, this labha, this benefit, this profit, when one gets, then manyate nadikam tata. He says that na adikam, there is nothing more. Tata. There is nothing more than this. So when a person who attains this transcendental, this spiritual, non-material lifestyle, knowledge, the sound vibration, then that person becomes completely satisfied. So here we can see the example of King Yayati, who has everything but is not satisfied. But then Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that when this person, when he receives the spiritual knowledge and spiritual lifestyle, then that person becomes completely satisfied. So much so that he doesn't want anything more. So how many of us can here say that, oh, I'm so satisfied with my situation that I want nothing more? As soon as we get a haircut, and when they see someone else's hairstyle better than ours, then we say, oh no, I should have done that. And as soon as we buy a new pair of shoes, they say, oh no, this is really good, this is probably the best, but that color looks better, or somehow it just doesn't suit me. So you're always looking for more, always looking for something better. But here Krishna says that when you attain this knowledge, well, then you're left hankering for nothing more. You're completely satisfied. So how is that possible? But that is experienced by devotees who were dedicated to this knowledge, into this lifestyle. And we get the glimpse of it in some of these seniors, the devotees who have been practicing for few years, few decades, or sometimes even devotees who are very, very new. But of course, it's a journey over many lifetimes. And we have some devotees, they're just very satisfied with their situation. And they're able to avoid over-endeavor for material situations and try and fix that 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 and try and learn that and try and gain that and try and change that. And then if you ask them, Prabhu, are you not doing too much? Maybe you should try and read some Prabhupada books. Maybe you should try and chant a little bit, with peace of mind. And said, no. I said, I have a plan. He said, down the line I can see. He said, I'm going to make a big preaching. I'm going to do a big service. I'm going to please Krishna and Prabhupada. So right now I'm just going to work like anything. I'm not going to chant very attentively. I'm not going to be able to read, or hardly able to read. But I have a plan that I'm going to serve Krishna and Prabhupada. And everyone will see. Yeah, maybe, possibly. But often we forget how powerful the material energy is. And sometimes forget about few years, even few months can be quite draining and take us away from going deeper into Krishna consciousness. So right now, it's the earlier the better. We have worked hard for many lifetimes. We have done many things for many lifetimes. But this one lifetime, we should try and dedicate to doing something that's apparently very simple. Chant Hare Krishna with a peaceful mind. Try to read Prabhupada books with a peaceful mind. Try to serve devotees in a way that they want, not in a way how you would like. And make it very simple. It's a very simple process, and Prabhupada really kept it very simple. He didn't make it too complicated. And we don't have to make it too complicated either, So if we do these simple things, just chanting Hare Krishna, reading Prabhupada books regularly, and then if you have time, then you utilize the time and be productive, be efficient. There's nothing wrong in being successful materially, but not at the cost of the basics of Krishna consciousness, of chanting every day, reading every day, associating with the devotees on a daily basis, on a regular basis. If you're not able to do that, that means that maybe you are over-endeavoring for material situations. Sometimes it's okay, once in a week, twice in a week, you're busy and you just have to somehow rush and quickly finish things and get it done with. But if you're doing like 6 days of the week or 7 days of the week, where you're just rushing, you're just chanting somewhere, somehow, hardly able to read or not able to read at all, well then maybe it's time to do a little reflection. Maybe it's time to discuss with some devotees and work out your material situation so that, some shanti, some time to sit down and work out these basics. Otherwise, devotees who have done, a lot of things, many things, and sometimes even so-called externally they've done a lot of things, but internally they are not satisfied, and so therefore eventually they get burnt out, and it becomes very hard to maintain Krishna consciousness like that. It's actually even hard to maintain material life like that. Forget about spiritual life. So therefore, this process given by Prabhupada is very simple, and if we can follow this simple process on a regular basis, then we become satisfied. we become peaceful, we become happy. So we'll finish with that. Thank you very much for your kind attention. If there is any corrections, any questions, any comments, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, when we talk about material desires, how do we define material desires? Because, for example, when we talk about marriage or the grihastha ashram, it's something that's given in the scriptures, right? It's part of varnashram. But for one to be married, one has to have a desire for that too. So is that a material desire? Is that something that's material? Because it's your desire to be married. It's, to be honest, got nothing to do with Krishna as such. It's your desire. But you aim to live in a marriage in service of the Lord and service of devotees. That's different. But the desire is still yours. So how does one, I mean, that's just an example. There'll be others, but how do we truly define a material desire?
So the material desire is anything that takes us away from Krishna, and spiritual desire is anything that takes us closer to Krishna. So when it comes to material arrangements or situations, it's not just that grihastha ashram is material. All the ashrams is a material situation. All the varnas are also material situation. So, but we are utilizing those situations for spiritual progress. And how is it that all these material situations are able to help us in spiritual progress? Because it's recommended by Krishna. So Krishna is not giving some kind of like a cookie cutter process, like everyone has to fit into this mold, otherwise you are a sinful rascal, a wretch. No, you are, it's everyone has a psychophysical nature, and at some point one has to come to recognize that, and one has to arrange the material situations so they can be mentally peaceful. Otherwise, if one is not materially peaceful and somewhat stably situated, peacefully situated, then it becomes somewhat difficult to practice spiritual life. So it's okay to organize and arrange your material situation and material life. Most people, practically all people, need to have a family, need to have a house, need to have a comfortable situation, and it's okay. So therefore Krishna recommends the grihastha ashram, where one can be comfortably situated and then one can utilize that to make spiritual progress. So that situation is not material in itself, because if it's utilized for spiritual progress. But what can happen is that one can get too comfortable and then ignore, avoid, procrastinate the spiritual life. That's material. So you have an opportunity to make it material, but at the same time you have the opportunity to make it spiritual also. In brahmacharya ashram, we can't hide. We can't run away from Krishna consciousness. If we're sleeping, someone will come and wake us up, like, come on, do your service, let's go. So, so that's why it's a lot more Krishna conscious in that sense. But for some people, it's just not meant for it. So they should obviously eventually come to a point where they can arrange the situation. Yeah, is that?
Yeah, I think it's just more. I feel like we all end up having desires, right? And then to make it Krishna conscious, I feel sometimes we just put the label of, I'm doing this for Krishna, or I'm doing this for the devotees, but actually it's because I desire it. And so, does that now become material, or does it
Yeah, it's
become,
like
is that spiritual?
when devotees say, "Oh yeah, today Krishna wants to have pizza." Today Krishna wants to have, and there's many what Krishna would like to have for the whole week. Well, so that's the reason why there are different kinds of yoga. So there's karma yoga, there's jnana yoga, there's bhakti yoga. The bhakti yoga is when you find out what Krishna wants and you do it. But that's considered the topmost platform. It's highest platform. I mean, we call ourselves the bhakti yogis, but we're more like the aspiring bhakti yogis. And maybe once in a while we are bhakti yogis. But for most of us, it's like karma yoga. We do what we like to do and we offer the results to Krishna. So, I like to eat this and that and that. So, okay, I'm going to cook that, I'm going to offer that to Krishna, and I'm going to have it. So that's karma yoga. So I'm not just outright going to enjoy materially. I have some desires, I acknowledge that. But I'm going to offer the results of that to Krishna before I enjoy that. So back in the mind, we know that, okay, even though I'm cooking this, Krishna is going to have it first. And that purifies our desires and our consciousness. And eventually, hopefully, at some point, we'll come to a platform where we say, oh, let me just cook for what will please Krishna. But until then, it's okay to have this desire, and there's nothing wrong in it. It's just where we are at. But now we can utilize that and utilize the process of Krishna consciousness to become purified. So when we offer bhoga to Krishna, that okay, here is the pizza. So okay, Krishna, please accept this. We say, I know that this is not at the best of my consciousness that I'm offering this, but still, please accept it. And give us your remnants, give us your prasad, and we hope that by honoring that prasad, eventually we become purified to not have these material desires and serve you with material desires. So Bhagavatam gives these many examples of these devotees who have material desires, and we kind of laugh at them. King Indra does something, he's like, oh, wow, how can he get that? Like, he just did that, and now, according to his time, like 10 minutes later, he's again doing the same thing, And then again, 20 minutes later, again he's doing the same thing. And now again, 2 days later, we are not very different from him, So we are doing the same thing over and over again. So we pray to Krishna that please help me eventually get my consciousness purified. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned that we shouldn't over-endeavor for material happiness. Can we over-endeavor for spiritual happiness?
How does that look like?
Doing more services, I guess, to get that transcendental bliss that we want, or chanting more sincerely. Chanting more rounds, or doing everything, just adding on whatever we're doing.
So saying you're doing, so say if you do too many services so you can chant attentively, is that an over-endeavor?
No, I'm saying that whatever services we're doing, we're just multiplying them. Adding on more services.
Give me an example.
Like, if I'm doing cleaning the temple, then I can add on to cleaning the prasadam or cleaning the toilet. If I'm chanting, let's say 8 rounds, then I can add on 10 rounds, 12 rounds.
So at what point does it become an over-endeavor? Well, it's not an over-endeavor until it comes to 16 rounds.
I guess if we're neglecting our material duties that we have, then that.
Yeah. So it requires a certain amount of organization and certain amount of prioritizing to get to what Prabhupada would call the basic standard of Krishna consciousness. And sometimes you have to wait for a little bit also. So yes, if someone who just walks into the temple and you ask them to chant 16 rounds, or someone who is studying year 11, year 12, year 10, like, you people work hard more than most of us in the temple, so So like, you're not expected to chant 16 rounds. Even though you do, you're a great soul, if you do it. We offer our obeisances to you. But, so you have to be practical. And that's why it's important to take guidance from devotees who are more mature and who understand your situation. So, that's one thing. Secondly, we try and do as much as we can in Krishna consciousness because we know that we need it. It's not for Krishna, it's not for anyone else, for me. I know for many years in this lifetime and then many lifetimes, many lifetimes, I've done many things and wasted so much time. And not that I wasted time then, I still waste time now. Even now. Like even after coming to Krishna consciousness, even after devotees telling me that you should not waste even a moment. One moment is more than millions of dollars and kilos of gold and all that. So I still waste so much time, looking around and spacing out in my mind and chit-chatting here and there and just walking around without any purpose. So I'm wasting quite a lot of time. Actually, I have time. It's not that I don't have time. It's just that I don't utilize it. So somehow or other, if I can take on services and responsibilities, then that will positively engage my mind, and that'll be good. So yeah, we can take just enough. It's like what Bible says, that you should give until it hurts, just a little bit. So you should do service just till it hurts a little bit. And that's good. So in that way you never get too comfortable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna. So I understand that material life we can never find satisfaction. But speaking for myself, I find that sometimes I'm very unsatisfied with spiritual life also. So how to find that satisfaction? You just mentioned now, do a little bit of service, just enough that it hurts, so we don't get too comfortable. But at the same time, we need to be satisfied. Because, I also know that we should be greedy in spiritual life. But at the same time, how do we find that satisfaction?
Yeah, it's... I know there's one thing that devotees often say is that Krishna consciousness is a guidance culture, and to be successful even in material life and also in spiritual life is that one need to take guidance. So one of the very first thing that I was told in my spiritual life is that your success in your spiritual life depends on how well you take guidance or how much you learn to take guidance. So it's an art to take guidance from devotees, and of course it requires a certain amount of surrender to follow that guidance. If we do that, then we will definitely feel satisfaction and peace of mind. That even though I don't quite know what I'm doing, even though I feel it's a little bit hard or it's whatever challenges I'm facing, I know that I'm guided by such and such devotee, and he's mature and he's senior and he knows my situation, and if I just follow him for now, I know I'll be fine. Just like the child, like the small child, he's trying to figure everything out, and there's so much of anxiety. Like the child has to cross the road by himself. It's so much anxiety. There's so much of cars coming all the way, and people crossing, and there's honks all over, and it's just too much. But if he holds hand of his father or mother, then it's like, I don't care now. I just take a step when my father takes a step. I stop when he stops, and I walk again, and that's all I do, and I don't use my brain too much. So in the beginning, for at least first few months or even years, devotees are happy to just take guidance and just follow. And it's very satisfying, and it's very pacifying for the mind. But otherwise, it's a constant pressure. Am I doing it right? Am I doing what I should be doing? Is it according to my nature? Should I be doing something else? That devotee seems to be doing better than me. So there's all these and many other questions that come up to our mind. So, yes, Krishna consciousness is definitely powerful and makes one satisfied if one is able to take the guidance and follow the process, how it's recommended.
So it comes from faith. Satisfaction comes from having faith in the devotees.
Yeah, first is, of course, having the faith. Ado Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sangha. So first is the faith in devotees. Otherwise, you won't even ask for the guidance. Like, what does he know? What does she know? It's me. It's my life. It's my spiritual journey. I'm going to figure it out myself. My problem is different. Everyone thinks that their problem is different and it's unique, and that nobody else has that. Nobody else had any problem like what I have. And what the seniors would say, or many devotees say, is that it's the same problem, repeating over and over again. But all the new devotees think that my problem is very unique. So, yeah, if we just follow the guidance, and if we have the faith, take the guidance, follow the guidance, then we become relatively quite peaceful and satisfied. Yeah. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, sometimes you feel that you're so engrossed in spiritual life that at one point you also neglect your material life, and then sometimes you have like this uneven thing that you can't balance both, but at the same time you also don't want to leave your spiritual life because you can't get on with your material life. But then at one point in spiritual life, also doing that, you also get a bit burnt out, and then you start thinking that I should have had done this so that I don't get burnt out. So Prabhuji, how to balance that?
I remember one time Achintya Matari came into the kitchen, and what was it? I think it was this kitchen was a bit of a mess or something. Something was not cleaned or something wasn't done properly. And Madhuri came in and she saw, and she wasn't happy, to say the least. And she said, "Oh, this devotees, too much Krishna consciousness. It's too much chanting Hare Krishna. Do something practical." So they're doing chopping vegetables and they're supposed to clean that, but then they Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And they completely lost, they didn't do what they're supposed to do. So, so that's not good enough. That's good that you're at least chanting Hare Krishna, but it's not good enough. So one has to be responsible in material life also. So we can see classic examples of many senior devotees who are very successful spiritually, but they're also very mature and responsible spiritually. So spirituality and spiritual engagement is not an excuse for material irresponsibility. It's never an excuse. So a lot of time devotees who are too engaged spiritually, that they materially become somewhat irresponsible, then if you had set up some kind of guidance cultures, if you had some kind of mentorship, where you had some devotees who are telling you what to do and what to be careful of, then they will come and tell you that be mindful of this is not right. But for ourselves, we should be very well aware of our material situations, our material life, which is our studies. For some of us can be work, for some of us can be relationships, family life. So all these one has to be very mindful and careful of. Otherwise, if you become too Krishna conscious and negligent of your material situation, then soon you will become too material conscious and negligent of your spiritual life, because very soon things will start breaking up apart and falling off, and then it's like, okay, now I need to get really focused in my studies or my work because things just broke, and so now I need to fix that. That means I can't chant. That means I can't do my service. So it's just one extreme to the other. So that's why it's, from the very beginning, be always very conscious. Like driving the car. When you're driving, you go a little bit on the left, and then immediately come on the center. Then again to right, then come again in the center. So one has to be very vigilant while driving. So in the same way in spiritual life, one has to be very vigilant. Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. My question is, so after coming to Krishna consciousness, I think there are these negative emotions that I already had, and I was already experiencing them, but then I'm feeling like I'm experiencing that more. And I've heard this from other devotees as well, but I'll talk about what I'm going through. And I'm experiencing that more, and I just want to know, like, how do I, like, I'm trying to follow all the regulatory principles and everything, but then I'm thinking, like, it is taking me to a point where I'll break. So how do I, like, still keep calm and keep that equilibrium and keep going, because I do want to take shelter of my Guru Maharaj, and I do want to grow spiritually, and I want to support myself and my family. So how do I keep that balance and keep growing, instead of thinking like, obviously I have that desire of being happy and experiencing the positive emotions, but then that's not, like, it's not looking that rosy. So how do I convince myself, other than reading scriptures and associating? Like, if you could give some examples from Bhagavatam that I should remember and remind myself, that would be really good, Prabhu. Thank you.
But for most of us, we come from different material situations, and sometimes it takes a while for things to, like, calm down. Well, we can only imagine what would our situation have been if we are not practicing Krishna consciousness. So, okay, like, situations are bad, things are difficult, but without Krishna consciousness, it would be worse. So, there's a pretty good impetus to continue practicing, Then, as we keep practicing, and if we keep practicing in a proper attitude and under proper guidance, then eventually we will see that all these material problems are somewhat superfluous, and that they don't actually that life-threatening. So, just like these devotees give often the example of, like, you see the tall building and it looks quite big, and so that's our material problems, but then when you're flying over it, it's not so big. So these problems which often trouble us so much, but if we try and elevate our consciousness, then the same problem eventually becomes a little bit manageable. So that's why, again, at this point, not trying to make any big decisions, not trying to do anything great, it's just like trying to keep your nose above the water. That's all you try and do when things are just all looking too difficult. You just kind of keep your nose just above the water, just you can keep breathing for the time being, and then eventually hope that some boat will come save you and you'll be out of it. So that will happen eventually, spiritual masters and the devotees, both Shiksha Guru and Diksha Gurus help us out of our problems. But until then, we just have to survive. Just keep our chanting, keep our reading, keep our association, and yeah, things will, you'll not have a life full of miseries, you'll not have a life full of happiness. It's always a combination. Just have to juggle them. Is it okay? Thank you. Thank you. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.